Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to all. I am Razali Abdul Rahman, Deputy Dean of Student Affairs, Faculty of Engineering. Would like to welcome everyone to this Student Virtual Hangout Zone webinar series brought to you by Faculty of Engineering UTM. For your information, the webinar series under Student Virtual Hangout Zone platform is where we engage great leaders from industries to share their insights, experiences, and the most important thing are the current and also future work-life challenges with our students. And also, we are focusing this series under the theme of graduate employability. Besides, this is also one of the medium we develop our students, especially our student leaders, by giving them opportunity to conduct and moderate the session. Therefore, for today's webinar series edition, I would like to invite Ms. Fadila binti Jamaluddin, our second year student from Nuclear Engineering Program, to begin the session. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. Hi, my name is Fadila binti Jamaluddin. I am a second year student currently studying nuclear engineering course from School of Chemical and Energy Engineering. Please bear with me since I will be your moderator for today. Welcome to our second series of Student Virtual Hangout Zone brought to you by Faculty of Engineering. Now, we are streaming live from Facebook Faculty of Engineering UTM. Today, we are really excited to welcome our honorable speaker, Dato Dr. Muhammad Razali bin Dato Muhammad Yusoff, Chairman of the Board and the Chief Executive Officer of Nusantara Technologies Sdn, with an interesting topic, graduate employability. To our lovely audience, you are welcome to drop any questions in the comment section below, and I will read it at the end of this session. Without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Insinyur Dr. Muhammad Rafiq bin Dato Abdul Qadir, Dean Faculty of UTM, Engineering UTM, to introduce our respected speaker. The floor is yours, Dato. So we are still waiting for our Dean to come in. Since Dato are not here, so we will pass straightly to Dato Razali for his speech. Welcome, Dato.
Thank you very much. Can I begin now?
Yeah, sure.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to everybody. Firstly, I thank Allah Almighty for this opportunity to speak on this occasion on a very, very favorite topic. As you know, Nusantara Technologies Sdn over the last few years have been working very closely with the Nuclear Engineering Society of your esteemed university, particularly with the Faculty of Engineering. And it gives me very great pleasure to once again enjoy these moments with you, because during our few years relationship, I've seen NES, the Nuclear Engineering Society, Student Society of UTM, grow from a small organization to what it is today. It's slowly becoming regional and global, inshallah. Now, this topic, global employability, is something which I have, what shall we say, treated as very close to my heart. When I created Nusantara Technologies about 30 years ago from scratch, from a staff of 3 to now almost over 100, I have always believed there is a need for the academia to work closely with business and, more importantly, with the community. And in this regard, I'm happy to say that over the years, of our existence, we have nurtured not only undergraduates, but graduates of leading universities in Malaysia in the field of engineering, particularly in the field of NDT, non-destructive testing, inspection and testing services, and in calibration, because that's our business. And we've been in this business now for 30 over years, as I've said, and we have gone from a very small fledgling organization to what it is today, an internationally recognized figure. Now, during the last 20 years, I've always made it a policy for the company, Nusantara Technologies, to nurture students, undergraduates and graduates, so that they can be attached to the company during the vacation or during any time that they wish to be attached to a company, to be exposed to the real business world. And we've done this religiously, without fail, for the last 50 to 20 years. I do not know how many hundred people, how many hundred undergraduates in engineering have gone through the process of being attached to us, either on a weekly basis and sometimes even on a monthly basis. Some of them have graduated and joined businesses, and some of them have even got their own businesses. And Alhamdulillah, I'm very happy to say that Nusantara Technologies has played a very small measure towards this direction and purpose. Now, I've always been an industry man. When I graduated from the University of Malaya in 1968 in economics and geography, I joined Dunlop, which was then a British company. And I was there for almost 20 years and rose to the position of general manager. It was something that I was very proud of, because bukan senang orang lokal nak jadi GM di bawah tangan British masa itu. And during the years that I was in Dunlop, I was exposed to managing Dunlop operations in Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia, Indonesia, and to have what I call networking with our international operations, particularly in Europe. Now, during those years, the company policy was, if you have reached a certain level of competence in your management, you must not only devote yourself to the company operations, but you must develop your skills by being active participants in chambers of commerce, business councils, and also government bodies. So in this regard, I'm happy to say that during those years that I was there, I was appointed to the board of MIDA, the Malaysian Investment Development Authority. And I believe I'm the longest serving director of MIDA. I served the MIDA board for 30 years, 30 tahun. Then I was also vice president of the FMM, the Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers, and a host of bilateral associations. I was president of Malaysia-Canada Business Council, Malaysian-German Business Group, Malaysian-French Chamber of Commerce, macam-macam lah, you know. All this made me realize that it's very, very important that the graduates that we produce must firstly have an international outlook. And that is why I am so grateful to the Malaysian government for having recognized my interest and my passion. I'm now CEO at faculty of a few universities in Malaysia, indeed all the Malaysian government universities, and also an adjunct professor in a few of them, not only in Malaysia, but in Singapore, Indonesia, the Philippines, Iran, Uzbekistan, Turkey, and very soon some of the African countries. So there you are. This gives me the sort of realization there is a need for us to have, I would call, connectivity and relevance. And that is why I feel it very, very strongly that the corporate objectives of any operations in Malaysia must have, as part of its corporate responsibility, not PR, not corporate social responsibility, but corporate responsibility, that we must work closely with the academia. So when I was on the board of MIDA, as I told you, I was there for almost 30 years, I proposed the idea that in any of the government organizations, they must have academia on the board to guide them, to give them relevance, to give them the exposure and the business also to be exposed to government bodies so that they know each other better and then they can come up with policies which are relevant. Because now we find out the world is no longer a question of, what shall we say, narrow-minded thinking. It's got to be broad-based, and it must incorporate what they call it developments and connectivity. And that is why in Malaysia today, if you look at the progressive companies, they have this kind of philosophy and principle. And that is why in Nusantara Technologies, I am very, very particularly passionate about this. And my staff, which have been, who have been with me now for almost over 20 years, almost 30 years, some of them, are very well aware of this. Now, also, in my company, the senior officials, the engineers particularly, because we are an engineering-based company, they also sit on the technical committees of universities to develop the curriculum and the training programs. That's number one. Number two, some of the research facilities, because we are a laboratory-based operations, we have testing labs. I allow universities to participate in our programs because we must have this same idea and the same strategy. There must be synergy and cross-fertilization in anything that we do. Now, of course, with COVID-19, it becomes very, very apparent how important this is, because we must now work together. We must win as one. We must function as one. We cannot say you're private sector, I'm academia, I'm community. No, we must have a different kind of a mindset. We must now work as one. And that is why in Nusantara Technologies, I've always upheld the principle that we must have a broad-based training program. And that is why I allow my staff to get involved with activities of institutions of higher learning and vice versa. Don't be selfish, because we cannot develop the world on our own. Not only that, I invite individuals who have the right experience, the right expertise to give us ideas, give us suggestions, and if possible, to do joint research programs. In fact, I've set up a budget within my operations to assist these endeavors. So you can see here, you must not depend on the government. You must now assist the country because you have got the experience, you have the rezeki, share it. And the best way of sharing it is to share knowledge and experience. So if you come to Nusantara Technologies, you'll find this philosophy very, very prevalent. I'm now talking to a few institutions internationally, a few universities internationally from African countries and the North African countries, particularly the Islamic countries, that they are most welcome to liaise with us, and we see where and how we can work together. This is so important because knowledge has no bounds. And in Islam, we say, ilmu itu rezeki. And it is only rezeki if you share it. If you keep it all to yourselves, we are not advancing the cause of humanity. And it is so, so important that we must share our success stories. We must also share our mistakes. You must tell people where we made mistakes. I've made so many mistakes in my life. And I'm a very honest man. I tell them where were my weaknesses, and I try to put it right. And I listen to people. And this is very important. I find this a very interesting moment in my career. Now, I'm coming to ASEAN. ASEAN is a wonderful organization. I've been involved in the ASEAN Chambers of Commerce, my gosh, I think for nearly 40 years of my life. I was the chairman of a lot of industry groups. And I find that if the countries in ASEAN can get their act together, particularly amongst the institutions of higher learning and the research associations, my God, we can be a source of power economically as well as socially in the world. And we have a young population, a very enthusiastic population, healthy. And most importantly, we have the population that is big enough to encourage industries. But we have to look outwards. We must never look inwards. And that is why I find that this graduate employability issue, not an issue at all. It is up to us. First, the individuals involved, the graduates we are talking to, or the undergraduates, must change their mindset. They are not here for Malaysia or with Malaysia. They are for the world, and they are Malaysians. Number two, and this is also very, very important, we must also now develop an attitude that is international and regional. And we must learn from each other. We must share our resources, share our time, share our thoughts, share our mistakes. Tell them, I made this mistake, don't do it. Because, we don't want you to waste time and money. So this is very important. And the other one, of course, I like to have this process of cross-fertilization. If we can learn something from the Singaporeans, from the Indonesians, from the Bruneians, from the Thais, from the Cambodians, I think it's so much the better for us because we'll have an international outlook. Remember, all the main cultures and religions of the world is in this area, ASEAN. So how come we are not making enough use of it? This is God-given. Ini pemberian Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So we must make full use of it. And that is why I'm so passionate. So if we have the right attitude amongst the graduates and undergraduates, employability does not become a problem. The other thing, the change of the mindset is also required amongst the business entities. They must now adopt an attitude whereby when you train these undergraduates to be attached to you during the vacation, it is not an expenditure. It is an investment for the future because you're creating the people that will sustain you in your business. So we have to rethink our balance sheet. It is not an expenditure, but an investment. And that is why I have been involved in this exercise, God knows how many years. And I find that it is really paying off. And thirdly, of course, the government must support us in this endeavor. I'm happy to say that now, with international competition looming on the horizon, becoming much more, what shall we say, challenging for all of us, the government, and especially now with COVID, we're beginning to realize that this is a very important dimension for us to start thinking. You must now develop individuals from day one who are internationally minded. Don't think in terms of Malaysian market. Think of the world. And for that to happen, the universities and the institutions of higher learning is the best place. But companies must be involved in the process. Government institutions must give support. And the individual mindset must also change. So those are the 3 points that I have. So to me, graduate employability, a lot of people say we are not creating the right students, they cannot communicate effectively, culturally, lah itu, lah ini, lah, it's also negative. I don't think so. I think it's a question of creating the right climate and the right scenario for this to happen. It demands forward thinking, clear leadership directions, and most important of all, thinking beyond the balance sheet. What's the use of having a healthy balance sheet for this year, but you do not know what's going to happen for the next decade or so? It is better to think beyond the balance sheet. And the beyond the balance sheet thinking comes by developing human capital. Human capital with the right attitude, the right values, and the right mindset. And for this to happen, businesses must also reform their thinking. And it is for this reason that I think the business leadership in this country must, on its own, change and demands what I call a more exchange of ideas, more meetings between different regions, and to look at issues, looking at respecting each other's differences, respecting each other's capabilities, and make use of each other's talents. So these are my general views. So graduate employability is not just a numerical challenge. It is a challenge that demands rethinking in the way we think of ourselves. And the only way to do it is for everybody to sit down together and work it out. And it also demands a closer working relationship with the industry, academia, and the community. And also demands working together in cooperation. We must win as one. I like the saying, winning as one, because this was the slogan adopted at the last Southeast Asia Games in Manila. I was there during that time when the games were going on. And everywhere I saw the banner, we win as one. I thought that was wonderful. That was a wonderful saying, we win as one. And I think this is what you must be doing. You must win as one people. So, employability, yes, there'll be challenges, but importantly, in the long term, we must have this synergistic thinking. We must learn how to share our risk. And companies must not be selfish, must not be narrow-minded, as not to allow this cross-fertilization to take place. So these are my views. And in my tenure as chairman of Nusantara Technologies now for over 30 years, I've always insisted on this kind of a thinking. And I'm happy to say, Alhamdulillah, we are slowly making progress. COVID has hastened this process. To me, COVID, for all that you might think about its negatives effect, I think it's a wake-up call for all of us, that we have suddenly realized the way we cannot function individually. We have to work as one, and we have to start winning as one. And the way to do it, of course, is the closer collaboration between academia, business, and the community. And that is why I fully support NES, the Nuclear Engineering Student Society of UTM, because I feel that this is a wonderful opportunity, a wonderful platform for us to exercise our philosophy and our values. And I will encourage the corporations in Malaysia to do what I'm doing now, what I've tried to do over these years. And it's taken a bit of time, but Alhamdulillah, it's working. So these are my views on graduate employability. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And I welcome any questions or any points that you may wish to raise. Terima kasih.
Thank you so much, Dato, for the wonderful sharing session, Dato. I
Thank you.
believe all of us received new knowledge that are really beneficial. So now it is the time for Q&A session. So let's see, do you have questions?
Don't be shy. Anything, please. Yes.
So the first question coming from J. Kanan. The question is, Dato, thank you for sharing your wisdom. I appreciate your insights in this topic. My question is, what is your take on the importance of diversity in business? Is your organization diversified sufficiently? Over to
Well,
you, Dato.
this is my answer. We are in the inspection and testing business. We are in the calibration business. We are active in the mechanical testing, material testing. Our diversity is not in the way, it's not in the work itself, but in the markets. We are now very active in working on the, what shall we say, inspection and testing of oil rigs, on the railway systems, the MRT, transportation, and general construction. We are now looking at the issue of aerospace engineering. We are looking at the issue of environmental testing. So many fields, but related towards achieving standards that are acceptable and safe enough for the community. So this is our diversity. But apart from that, we can use our expertise in education. I'm looking at human capital development very seriously now. I'm slowly meddling in the field of human capital development by looking at certain areas of human capital development with colleges and universities. I serve on the board of a few business schools and also a few universities. And I'm now exploring where we can actually work together. It's no need for them to reinvent the wheel. We already have the laboratory. Use our laboratory and we work out something. This is how we should diversify. And this to me is my immediate priority. I'm now involved with 3 leading institutions in Malaysia, and I'm working with some of them on ideas on how we can diversify our business, not so much in terms of, what shall we say, exporting our expertise, but developing our expertise within Malaysia so that we can share our experience with universities. This is my strategy. Thank you, Kuna.
I believe that diversity really taught us experience. We need more experience by diversity. So let's go to the next question. From Jay Kanan too, the question is, another question, what else can universities do to ensure our graduates are marketable globally?
Well, I'm now involved in a program which you will soon be hearing. It's called Brand Malaysia. And Brand Malaysia is just not selling a company's services. It's ourselves, Malaysians. And I'd like to assist any institutions related to human capital development to realize that the Malaysian graduate is a unique graduate born out of a diversified cultural entity, and that we are adaptable in any section of the world. And of course, we must also develop the standards, academic, research, etc., etc. And I find my involvement with universities on the board now of some of them very challenging. Maybe we should relook at some of our syllabus. I do not know what direction. I'm not an expert. I'm not an educationist. I'm just somebody who's in business but realizes that there is a need for this kind of thing. So that's my answer. I'm still in the exploratory stage. Inshallah, maybe 1 year's time, I could answer this question much more specifically.
Basically, Dato, you are very good in everything. You are globally good. So next question from Devi Durgashini. Hello, Dato. Pleasure to be here with you. My question would be, what are the expectations of companies other than a bachelor degree in order to employ someone?
First thing that when I have an employee, I must feel comfortable with the employee, and I must feel that this person has the capacity and the potential to be developed into a wholesome person. I think the first thing that one looks at, of course, must be relevance in their field of study, but more importantly, is their personality. I depend a lot on personalities because he doesn't have to have outstanding academic achievements. We can develop them through training and etc. etc. I look for someone who's willing to learn, who is of good character. Number 3, honest. Integrity is of paramount importance, and most importantly, the fear of God. Or else a lot of harmful things can happen. Look at the level of corruption in this world. Oh my gosh. They might be brilliant, but they are not suitable for any civilization. So to me, be yourself, but be honest and be truthful. And when you're given a job, do it well. Do it with sincerity and honesty. That is my answer. I don't look for any other things. The personality and the quality of the person matters. Yeah.
That's so true, because attitude determines everything. The moment that you grab the opportunity, you should do it so well. So let's go to the next question from Fazrin Uzair. Assalamualaikum, sir. Thank you for sharing. My question is, how can we have such a good and right mindset on whatever we are doing in the future? Thank you.
Well, it's a question of the quality of your evolution, the role of the family, the role of the school that you went through, the role of your teachers, your parents, matter a lot. I found out through my life that some people are brilliant, but only in as far as their examinations are concerned. But because of the unfortunate evolution, they have developed not the right kind of mindset. And because of this, they are at a disadvantage. But it's not too late. It's not too late. I'm not going to write them off. I think it's also very important that employers, some are there, go the extra mile to see if you see that a person has got the potential, put him right. Don't be selfish. And that is how I have put right a few people in my life, and they are now very successful. But it's very important is that our niyat must be honest and sincere. And this has carried me through so many challenges in my life. And the most important thing, of course, is we must assure them that we are with them and working to support them in their noble endeavors. We must be honest. That's my answer.
Yeah, we really need to be honest to ourselves, so that in order for us to convince people, if we are not honest to ourselves, then how are we going to attract people, is it? So let's go to the next question from 21 Nguyen. Sorry.
Sounds like a Vietnamese.
Yeah, I think Vietnamese. Hello. So the question is, education, business, economic, and well-being. Can Dato share something from your experience? How success in cooperation?
Very important, cooperation. In fact, my business was built on goodwill and cooperation and honesty. Nusantara Technologies was built in an era when I was down and almost out, because I lost some money, a lot of money during the previous recession. But I told myself, why did I lose my money? Why did I not succeed? I suddenly realized that I was too proud to admit my past mistakes. And because of this, I became very blinkered in my views. And it was a chance meeting with someone I knew, someone I met in a foreign country, to put me right. And I told him the whole story about my failure, and he took pity on me because he saw in me honesty and the ability to learn from mistakes, And he assisted in the inspection of business. I started my business with inspection of cooking gas cylinders. That's how I started, in a very humble way. But I made sure that I did a very good job out of it. And because of that, Nusantara Technologies now goes beyond cooking gas cylinders. We're looking at oil rigs. Now, I tried to point out which are the key things that gave me the turning point, so to speak. I think number one is honesty. Number two, the willingness to change. Number three, the willingness to work hard. Most importantly, the willingness to serve the community by making sure that the cooking gas cylinders that I inspected will function well and safely. And this becomes what I call a value system. That's why I am very, very particularly, very particular on values. The human values must be right. If that is wrong, no matter how big your company is, how advanced technologically your company is, if your value system is wrong, you tell lies, you will never work. You will succeed. You will fail, definitely. So this is very important. And especially for the developing economy like Southeast Asia. Mr. Thuy Van Nguyen is a Vietnamese. He knows that we must have this right value system. And we are in the region of the world, that religion, culture, and history has played a very important role. So we are, in fact, in the right sort of background to develop on this. And that's why I'm so bullish on ASEAN and developing ASEAN universities and ASEAN connectivity. That's my answer.
I love the way you see that you tell people the mistake that you did, so that the mistake don't repeat. People don't repeat the same mistake again. So that's very good. Let's go to the next question from Mohamed Iqbal. Thank you, Dato, for the great sharing. Any comment about mismatching between university supply graduates and industry demands?
This is my favorite question. As I told you, I was on the board of MIDA for almost 30 years. I want now MIDA to reconstitute their thinking and their board appointments, to have on their board, their main board, where they make policies, people from institutions of higher learning, and more people from the community and from the industry. Because we must create, an industrial system which is relevant to the needs of the country. And it can only be done not by government servants, but by people from institutions of higher learning and community leaders. There must be relevance not in terms of making money, but more importantly, whether it is relevant to the societal needs. So in other words, we must now have an organization that looks at strategies which are community-based. Then, the sort of graduates that we produce will have the right values and have the right, what shall we say, the right direction in what they want to do. Or else you'll have a mismatch. And this is why I think in a country like Malaysia, we must have this kind of a priority in the way that we strategize our industrial development. And this is why I advocate very strongly that ASEAN countries must have a kind of a roundtable or forum or a think tank to re-strategize, especially after COVID, because this has suddenly rattled and put into question whether we have done it the right way. And human capital development and the direction of technological development is so vital for us to understand and to implement. That's my answer.
Yeah, true. We should start with strategies first. So let's go to the next question from Devi Dugashini, another one from me. More students these days tend to have mental issues such as depression and so on. What is your advice for students in handling stress and their mental state? And would these medical records affect their employability? Well, this is very important question, I believe.
Well, of course, if you are not of stable, sound mind, emotional stability and all that, you cannot work. And nobody will want you to work because, you're just not right, And I think what is needed nowadays to overcome this, I think government departments, agencies, NGOs particularly, can play a very important role in this. Because NGOs have the ability not to be too obvious if you have a problem. You can go and see them privately and they will advise you. It's so important that we must address this issue, especially in COVID now. There are a lot of people are going a bit cuckoo now because of the problems that they have, emotional, financial, oh my gosh, everything comes together. So I think this is where the role of the NGOs is of paramount importance. And this is where I think companies can contribute. Put a little bit of your budget on this, and do some social work, some social finance. Yeah. And students now, I think, must be honest and take the initiative to state their problems. At the end of the day, as I said, we either win as one or lose as one because we cannot run away. We are one society. So I think now it is for us to start thinking of sharing not only our problems, but also our challenges, and to be honest about ourselves. That's my point. That's my answer.
True. To add more, I believe that each company should have one department for consultation, since that some people might be okay at the first, but once they enter the work life, they might be go like, okay, I'm not really okay. My mental health is like, it's not okay. So I believe that company should have department of consultation so that they can like refer to that person so that they can just like share. Sometimes people tend to like gain depression because they don't have person to like to tell about their worries. So I believe that company should have it. So let's go to the next question from Ayanda J. Assalamualaikum Dato. Talk about graduate employability. Students need to market themselves by showing their leadership skills and out-of-the-box thinking skills. But when they are hired, most of the time, they are asked to just follow the norm. Your comment, Dato? Thank you.
Okay.
This
All
question,
right.
I like this question actually.
Yeah. Because the employer has the last say, because they're paying their salary and all that. Now it's like this. This is my personal experience. When you just join the company and you're still a trainee or on probation, janganlah terlampau gairah sangat. Telling the boss you're wrong. I think you have to first prove yourself that you are able to work through their with their company policy. And after you have established a name and made a mark for yourself, then slowly show your capabilities. Don't go in there and say that they're wrong, this is not the way to do it. No, especially when you're new. I don't think you should do that. This is common sense, actually. This is common sense. I think one of the ways to do this, I think, of course, is to develop the right kind of interpersonal skills, particularly with your bosses, especially if your bosses are difficult people. You must develop, what shall we say, a friendship within inverted commas. That, okay, boss, you are the boss, I will listen to you. But you know, boss, I want to do it this way. What do you think? You know, it's how you approach it. This is what I call wisdom. Wisdom. And this comes about through experience. Believe me, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. And I know how important this wisdom is. Okay? That's my answer.
Okay, Dato. Great one from you. So from Intan Zaura, dear Dato, I am from UTM Institute of Life BD graduate, and I am currently handling several programs for UTM graduate employability, and I am very interested to engage with your company for our young CEO program for our fresh graduates starting from October 2020.
The answer is yes. Write to me a letter, please. Give me your plan. Come over to KL. We'll sit down together and work this one out. Because I believe in this. This is very much in line. Please remember, I'm also involved with a few universities as the board of directors and some business schools, not only locally, but internationally. I can help out on this. I really can help on this. So Intan, please get in touch with me. Drop me a line and come over to KL. And then we spend the whole day together and discuss this. Good. Congratulations. This is a good idea. Good.
Don't worry, Doctor is very friendly. You can just like talk anything. He will listen and give suggestion. So let's go to the next question. We done?
Done?
Okay. From Muhammad Ismail, Assalamualaikum. Pada pendapat Datuk mengenai performance industri oil and gas sekarang ni, adakah peluang pekerjaan lagi untuk beberapa tahun akan datang?
The beginning, yeah? Ismail, my company does not only cater for oil and gas. We are engineering services. Jadi apa yang kita buat is not only for oil and gas. It's for engineering, for structure, for fabrication. Sekarang we just opened a branch in Bintulu, which is looking at the highway, the East Malaysian Highway, all the way from Kuching sampai ke Sabah. And there's hundreds of bridges to be constructed. So it is not oil and gas only. So if you ask me, oil and gas is going through a bit of turbulent time. And that is why 5 years ago, syukur alhamdulillah, I told my senior staff, let us not focus only on oil and gas. Because sooner or later, tak lama, harga minyak akan turun sebenarnya, nanti we will be affected. Jadi kita mesti diversify. Alhamdulillah kita diversify. Sekarang kita banyak terlibat dalam MRT. East Coast Railway Line. InsyaAllah, the high-speed railway. Ini perlukan banyak infrastructure inspection. Jadi maknanya, the business I'm in is not oil and gas. It's just one of the business areas. I'm involved in other engineering activities. Tapi pada pendapat saya, dalam oil and gas industry, oil and gas sekarang, maybe for the next 3 or 4 years, kita agak ada turbulence sikit. Because we do not know which direction it's going because of the international situation sekarang. But infrastructure must go on tau. Jambatan mesti dibuat. Bangunan mesti repair. Apa lagi? Tangki-tangki minyak must be inspected so that they don't leak. Jadi banyak DPR tu. So don't worry about it. All you do is concentrate what you're doing. There will be opportunities.
So true, Dato. I agree with you. So let's go to another question. Companies are always demanding that students are all ready to be hired, and universities try their best to edit the syllabus to the current industrial environment. But the industrial environment changes over a few decades. Please comment.
This is very true. Business is a dynamic scenario. And this is where there must be a constant follow-up and monitoring. And this is what I meant by connectivity. We must share the experiences of changes, and we must foresee what is on the horizon. And that is why I insisted that in the government planning process, there must be professionals who are involved in this kind of business activities, sharing their skills and their experiences. And this is where I think placing the internship training program comes in very useful, because you can see for yourself by working within the company what are the likely scenarios that can and possibly will develop over the years to come. Because business is dynamic, very dynamic. Saya tak sangka dulu tahu, when I first started Nusantara Technologies, we call it Nusantara Technologies, that will be involved in trade. Siapa? I did not expect. Kita tanah Melayu tu. But now we're doing all the MRT jobs. We're doing the ECRL, inshallah, on the high-speed train. So now, in one of the universities where I'm involved as a director, I'm looking at the possibility of setting up, jointly with these universities, a faculty of railway studies, where we look at railways as a huge market for us to get involved. But of course, I wouldn't own the trains or the train or the railway company. I just want to do the inspection. So we are working on this now. So you can see things change very rapidly. It is up to the leadership of the corporations to be able to foresee. I was telling my son a few months ago when I appointed him as the new up and coming CEO of the company. You will become CEO. I will become CVO. So he asked me, Papa, what is CVO? CVO is Chief Visionary Officer. I envision, and you execute. If you feel that it's a waste of time, you are the CEO, you can decide. But I will continue to be CVO. So there you are. See, business is done. You must keep on thinking of new things. And graduate employability comes in. Are we creating the right kind of people for this developing scenario? This is where we have to work with institutions of higher learning. And this is where my involvement on the board of universities, inshallah, will become very handy, very useful. Itu je. That's why. Yeah.
So true. Okay, another question for Devi Devagashini. Another issues from graduates with graduates these days are salary. On your point of view, is it important for graduates to demand on certain amount of salary based on their qualification when applying for a job, Dato? As degree graduate, what is the reasonable range of salary can we put in the resume?
Well, I can tell you, I've got lots of experience. It ranges from 1,002 to 3,000 for a fresh graduate. It depends on the company you apply to. But if you ask me, indicate your salary range. It's good to be honest about it, and then we can discuss about it in the interview. But if you ask me, if you're a fresh graduate, you come in, the right salary range will be between 1,006 to 1,008. Then after that, you work your way up. But you must understand now, times are difficult. So there might be a little bit of Orang kata kurang-kurang sikit lah. But never mind. The important thing is you have a job, but do it well. I remember when I started Nusantara Technologies 30 years ago, the starting salary for a graduate with a degree is between 1,001 to 1,003. But now some of them are, my God, way up now because they've done a good job and the company is doing well. But now because of the current situation, janganlah ask too much because a lot of people now, at least you have a gaji, you're not unemployed. So the realities. Okay, but put in your resume. There's nothing wrong with it. Because we also want to know how you feel about the situation. Okay.
True, that's a great question. So another question from Ena Fadila. What is your opinion on graduate employability during and after the pandemic COVID-19?
Oh, that's going to be a massive change. There's going to be a lot of massive change. I think the employability question is, will there be enough opportunities for us to give them employment? So I think we have to sit down and really plan this out, all the business people. I'm very concerned about my own company. So far, alhamdulillah, so good. Okay, but I'm watching this situation very closely. But one of the things that I want to do, and which I'm thinking now, this is post-COVID-19. I like now to have employees who are versatile, computer literate, ability to use all the IT gadgets, because we are going into the digital economy. Yeah. This morning, I heard the comment of the Singapore Minister of Trade and Industry. He gave an interview over CNA, which I listened before I came to the office. This is correct, what he said. We now have to look at the digital economy very closely. The way we work, the new normal is going to be very different. Maybe it's not necessary for us to go to office. We can work from the house through our computer. So graduate employability now must take into consideration all these new dimensions of the change in the way we work and the way we do. I think Francis Fukuyama wrote a very good book on this years ago. It's called The Future of Work. You read that book. Okay, so there you are. This is my okay. But generally, we are going to be digitalized in many more ways than we like. Okay.
Thank you, Dato. So this is gonna be our last question from Norma Muhammad Ghazali. However, engineering or any program syllabus take time to prepare with strict requirements by EAC, and sometimes by the time the syllabus has been changed, the current industrial environment no longer applies. Staff expertise to address the demand takes time with PhD and industrial attachments. Look more like Melata, Dato. What say you? What do you say?
Oh. I do not get the question in its proper perspective. I think what you have to say is this: it takes time to develop a system.
Yeah.
That's why my chief engineers or the senior engineers in my company are involved in some of the leading universities of Malaysia's syllabus program. Because we have to face fact. Some of the academics do not know the real facts on the ground. So my engineers will tell them, this is what's happening, and we need to change this. This is not so important. We don't prioritize this. We go for this, we go for that, we go for this. So this demands close networking and cooperation. And this is what I meant. Graduate employability now depends on how effectively the academia, the business, and the community communicate and synergize and cross-fertilize with each other. And that is why I'm so passionate about this program of putting business people into faculties of universities, which I've been doing for the last, God knows, 10 to 15 years, even before we started talking about all this in a serious way. I saw it coming because sooner or later, we cannot run from the fact that we have to create an economic model that takes into consideration the right kind of human capital development, the right values, the right attitude, and most importantly, the right leadership that we have. And I think, to me, the question of graduate employability is going to be one of the hallmarks of our nation's progress in the years to come. And it can only come if we really are honest with each other, honest to discuss our problems, honest to share our expertise, and honest to understand that it can only work with the right attitude and the right values. But I'm very optimistic that Malaysia is going to be and can be a leading example of what is possible. And I have another question for one Ikram, one Ahmad. Salam Dato. What are expectations, advices to universities before they enter industry? Well, first you must know what you want to be. What are your interests? What are your weaknesses? And most importantly of all, be exposed to them. And that's why this internship program is very important, because it'll give you the right feel of what the real world is like. And for this to happen, only the industries can help out. And that's why I'm happy to say that Nusantara Technologies, over the last 10, 15 years, has played this role in a meaningful manner. And that's why we are working very closely with NES in UTM and a few other organizations. Yeah.
Thank you, Dato. So the last question will be from me. So I'll be wondering, is it experience does matters for employer to hire us, especially if we from degree we straightly go to our master and then straightly go to PhD. It means we have no experience in working. So is it really important to work first, then only we go to master life? Is it?
My answer is very simple. To each his own. It's up to you. What suits you? What makes you happy? I have a daughter who's got a PhD in music. She never worked a single day of her life from the day she got a diploma, degree, master's, and doctorate. But now she's working. To each his own. It all depends on the person. Like me. I just have a degree, but I went to a management school. I got my general management course certificate, but now I have doctorates. But the doctorates are all honorary doctorates. But you know the funny thing is, I'm now sitting down with the real PhD holders, and they seem to agree with me with some of my views. So I must be doing something right. So to each his own. The important thing is your nawatul, your niyat. My niyat is to assist. Whoever asks me for help, I will assist. Because knowledge knowledge must be given to anybody who is interested in acquiring that knowledge and to practice it. And once he acquires that knowledge, he must share it. So that is my philosophy. Yeah, that's it. That's my answer.
Thank you so much, Dato. Thank you so much for the massive responses from the audience. Since we have been given a limited time, we would like to apologize because we are unable to read all the questions. So since we have technical issue just now, so I would like to invite back Professor
Yes.
Dato Engineer Dr. Muhammad Rafiq bin Dato Abdul Qadir, Dean Faculty of Engineering, UTM, to introduce our respected speaker. The floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum, Nak.
I'm really sorry, Dato Ghazali. There was a technical glitch at the beginning of the program.
Tak apa.
Because since I already promised that I will read your biography, so I a promise is a promise. So to the audience, well, I think it's good because at the very end we have about more than 100 viewers now. So I promised to read the bio sketch, so I must read the bio sketch.
Okay.
Give me a few minutes to read the bio sketch of our distinguished speaker today, Dato Dr. Muhammad Razali bin Dato Muhammad Yusoff. Was born on 13th January 1946 in Alu Gajah, and married to Dato Hatijah binti Ayub with 3 children.
Yes.
Dato Razali holds a Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Geography from the University of Malaya in 1968 and an honorary doctorate from the University of Nottingham. Currently, Dato Razali is the Executive Chairman and Managing Director of Nusantara Technologies Sdn Berhad and also a member board of director of Nusantara Test Services Sdn Berhad. Dato Razali is a well-known business entrepreneur having more than 48 years of experience in various industries ranging from banking, manufacturing and academia. He had been served in various capacities whilst working in Dunlop Malaysian Industries Berhad from 1968 to 1981. His last position was General Manager and served in numerous capacities as Sales Manager, Product Manager and General Manager with Dunlop Singapore, Dunlop Hong Kong, Dunlop Indonesia, Dunlop Australia in cross postings or training. From 1981 to 1983, he was appointed as Group Chief Executive, Arab Malaysian Merchant Bank Group, of which had contributing his expertise in banking management and facilities. With his qualification and vast experiences, he was appointed as financial advisor to Nusantara Test Services Sdn Berhad and one of the board directors since 2001. Being a prominent leader in various industries, his dedication and in numerous years in high-ranking position, he was appointed by several local and international universities for posts such as being an adjunct professor at the Nottingham University, Malaysia, honorary distinguished visiting fellow and writer, University Technology Malaysia, a member of the Board of Trustees, Rajazari Sophia Foundation, UTM, Lehigh University, Pennsylvania, USA, on the Board of Advisors, Center of Malay Excellence, University Malaya, and the Board of Advisors, University Industry Collaboration, University Utara Malaysia, as well as visiting lecturer for the University of Tehran, Iran. Prior to being actively involved in the academic sector, he has actively contributed his expertise to several organizations as the Chairman Malaysia-India Joint Consultative Committee, Chairman ASEAN EEC Business Council, Chairman Malaysian Ceramic Industry Group, Chairman Ceramic Industry Club of ASEAN, Chairman Automotive Federation of Malaysia, President Malaysia-Canada Business Council, Vice President Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers, Vice President Malaysian French Economic and Trade Association, Director Malaysian-German Business Council, Executive Director, Business Council for Sustainable Development Malaysia, Panel Advisor on Energy Issues, Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, Board Member, Malaysian Industrial Development Authority, MIDA, Member, Sirim Technical Committee for ISO 14000 Environmental Labeling, TC3. Dato Razali also actively contributes to society and charitable to organizations such as the President for the Malaysian Council for Rehabilitation, Vice President Selangor Council of Welfare and Social Development, Vice President National Council of Welfare and Social Development, Vice President Pure Life Society, Council Member Selangor Cheshire Home, and Member Advisory Panel on National Unity. So that is the biography of our distinguished speaker today. So again, Dato Ghazali, thank you so very much for talking in this UTM Engineering Student Hangout Zone.
It seems we don't have an end on Dato biography. So impressive. So thank you so much, Dato, for accepting our invitation despite your busy schedule. It was a great pleasure having you as our speaker for today. Dato never fail to inspire us to become a better version of ourselves. We wish you all the best in bringing up Nusantara Technologies Sdn Berhad. Hope to meet you real soon in the future. Thank you to all the audience for staying with us until the end of this session. Stay tuned for more live sessions from Facebook Faculty of Engineering UTM. Until then, have a great day. Stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum
Thank
warahmatullahi
you.
wabarakatuh. Okay. Which one is the show?